Well, you ready to make our best episode ever, Tommy?
Fuck!
Hello, everybody. We are at a interesting episode of the CFoD show because, well, our good friend Tommy Vereen over here, he's in Atlanta. He's going to scout Falcons camp for some reason.
That's right. I'm here getting all the inside knowledge that you can only get from touring every camp around the league, as I've been doing all summer.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty jealous. He says he got a new job, but he's actually been scouting fantasy football. I learned
that's
that
what I've been doing. Unfortunately, I did spend the last month down in the LA area scouting the Rams, which turned out to be a tremendous waste of time. There's nothing going on there. You don't need to know about that. So, but other than that, there's some good shit out there.
Yeah, well, anyways, this episode, we're going to do a very quick episode about a recap of the last few days. So maybe get Tommy's input on my trade and talk about everybody's keepers and how we feel about that. Sound good?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing me in on this. I'm surprised you didn't do another secret episode with Ralph.
No, actually, I was trying to get Barron in, and then he canceled. Then I tried to get Alan in, and he canceled. Then I tried to get Jeff in. I was like, God, I can't get anyone that Tommy hates in here.
Where's the button? I can't push the button on this end.
I could push it for you.
All right, but first you have to say all that about trying to get people in.
I also said I could push it for you. That was a good time to press it, but I'm not going to. So
anyway, but we digress.
That's right. So, what do you think about my trade, buddy?
I think it was a really good trade for both of you, actually. It was exciting to finally see a blockbuster trade go off in the CFoD, especially before the season, and involving both the trading of keepers and draft picks. So it served as a good example, if nothing else. But I also think it was one of those rare fantasy football trades. It seems like a lot of them that you see in fantasy football, one person ends up just getting completely screwed in the deal. Everybody wants to try to win that deal, and so trades don't really happen unless somebody feels like they're really winning that trade. But for both of you guys, I mean, I think it was a great move for both of you. You had that extra pick, and we've talked about the players that you do have locked up now. So you'll have Antonio Brown, probably number one overall. At the spot, I imagine you'll have a choice between Le'Veon Bell and Julio Jones. So those are good players to start off with.
Steven Gostkowski, I think, still available.
He is, so you could use your third round pick on him, or not your third, your fifth. I'm sorry. But anyway, it was a good trade for you, and also Ralph. I mean, giving up that spot was it's a lot of value there. That's tough to give up, but he picks up 2 additional picks in the first 4 rounds, and he also gets a good keeper option, in my opinion, by taking Martavis Bryant away from you. So that's something you weren't going to use, and that's something that he can benefit off of. So yeah, I think it was one of those rare trades that's actually a really good move for both of you.
Also, I wanted to talk about something. I was trying to convince, at least on Alan's end, I was trying to convince him to trade for a keeper because keepers are very important in this league. It basically is value, getting somebody you shouldn't have in that round.
Right.
So I was telling him you should try and talk to Josh about getting Isaiah Crowell because he's going in what? What do you think? The top 3 rounds?
Isaiah Crowell, he's actually climbing into the second round in a lot of drafts that I'm seeing now, which I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable spending a second round pick on a Cleveland Browns player, but with the value that you could get for him to keep him, and I think it was the 11th round that you could have kept Crowell in. That's something that I would have been interested in potentially trading for that, but I also understand it's Allen's first year in the league, and maybe being a little conservative there as he tries to
feel his way around this.
Right. Tries to establish himself.
I was trying to tell him that Josh was asking for a 5th. That might be too rich. I was telling him, try and haggle for a 7th or 8th. Because, 1, now Josh can't do anything with him. So, honestly, all the power was in Allen's court. And
That's
2,
true.
You're getting Isaiah Crowell as a 7th, 8th, 9th round pick. Who knows? Whereas you talk to Josh and you say, what would you rather have? 2 ninth-round picks or a 9th and a 16th or something like that, you know?
Right, but also that's another factor into that trade. By trading for those keeper rights, Allen would basically be devoting 2 mid-round picks to Isaiah Crowell by the pick that he traded and then the pick that he'd have to use to actually keep him. So,
True.
yeah, it's a little risky, especially for a Cleveland Browns player. I still think it would have been a good move, but time will tell. We'll see how well Crowell actually does this year.
I do think it's funny you're saying risky for a Cleveland's Brown player, yet you were very seriously considering taking Bilal Powell, a Jet, who will probably be on an even worse offense.
Right? Can you name anyone else on the Jets, offense or defense? That's what I
Matt
thought.
Forte. Yes.
Okay, good
got
job.
it.
48-year-old Matt Forte, who will probably retire before the season starts. We'll see.
And the guy who can't break a huddle properly. But anyways, you're at the airport. You're limited for time. Let's move on to talking about people's keepers.
Let's get into it.
All right. So I took 4 players at a time based on the list you put on Facebook. So here we go.
And what a list it was.
Yes. All right. So here we go. It's so here are the first 4. We've got me keeping Hopkins in the 3rd and JJ in the 9th. Both very risky, honestly, but if they do end up performing as they can, I think that's very solid. You got David Johnson and Dak Prescott, who, that just speaks for itself. We've got 2 running backs for Josh, so he'll probably go very wide receiver heavy early. And then Jeff rounding out with the top pick of the top wide receiver of the Saints and Derek Carr.
Right. A couple of things to note here. I mean, we talked about your guys a little bit earlier, so that's basically what we expected to happen. I'm noticing both Josh and I both chose keepers in back-to-back rounds, so that creates a little wrinkle there too when you're not picking for 3 rounds, basically. And so, like that 11th round pick for me, that 5th round pick for Josh, like there's a lot of thought that goes into those picks when you're not picking again for another 3 rounds. As far as Jeff goes, I like the Michael Thomas keeper a lot. I wouldn't have liked the Derek Carr keeper so much had it not been for the additional superflex that we're adding this year. So I think that made that keeper valuable for Jeff. Jeff, you're welcome.
Also made it your Dak Prescott more valuable.
Yep, that's true. That's true. I still didn't love having to take Dak there, but at the 13th round,
what? It's not much. Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of upside there, and again, I'm not really risking on it. There's plenty of time for me to grab another quarterback in the first 12 rounds, and that's just something I don't have to worry about as far as...
First 11. You don't have a 12th round pick.
Oh, that's true.
You're screwed.
Well, I still have to do it in those 12 rounds. I just only have 11 picks to do it with.
Ah, okay. Maybe you'll trade. No, wait. We're done.
I'm making all kinds of draft day trades and just confusing the shit out of myself.
On to the next 4, where James has Odell Beckham Jr. for his last year, and the up-and-comer in San Diego and Hunter Henry. Barron's got Jordy Nelson and a late addition of Pierre Garçon. Russell Wilson for Randall and James White. I don't know if I like the James White pick too much, but at the same time, what are you going to do? And then rounding it out with Ashley having Jordan Reed, one of the best tight ends in the league, and Terrence West, one of the many Ravens running backs.
Well, he is their starting running back, and he has that role pretty well locked in. It's Terrence West and Danny Woodhead. So Woodhead has his role pretty well defined. So Terrence West is the guy who's going to be getting the carries and probably scoring all 3 rushing touchdowns for the Ravens this year. Let's start with James up on the top. I saw that Odell Beckham had a little ankle issue tonight, actually, as we record this. He had to go off the field, so that could be a little interesting. We'll see what happens there with OBJ.
He came back on the field. He didn't look like he was in pain. He didn't play, but I mean, he came back out of the locker room and looked like he was walking fine.
Hunter Henry, I like a lot in the 14th, of course. Back to Barron, you mentioned the late addition of Pierre Garçon in the 7th round, which that might not seem all that special if you're not familiar with the league. That's probably about where he'll go, if not even slightly later. But as it's been proven time and time again, those receivers dry up pretty quick in this league. So I think that's going to be a good move to happen there at 7.
If you just look at all the people who are on this keeper list, just Odell Beckham in the 10th, Hunter Henry in the 14th, James White in the 10th, Jordan Reed in the 10th, Terrence West in the 14th. Those are all people that are picked before him in a normal draft, but are after him in the draft order. So that's just that many more people who will be taken earlier.
Right. Well, not James White necessarily. I think I think Randall more so did that just to have a second keeper, I guess. I think he probably could have drafted him around that time, but again, let's not forget James White was the Super Bowl MVP last year.
Yep. Anything else you want to say about these players?
I mean, Ashley, we had Jordan Reed and Terrence West, which is kind of where we thought she would end up going. I like both of those moves a lot. And again, when Jordan Reed's on the field, he's great. So to have him in the 10th round is pretty great value.
Yep. All right, on to our last 4 contestants, with Alan only keeping Kyle Rudolph, but still okay. That's a good pick. Cody McDougal already making his first-round pick. And also getting Terrell Pryor in the 13th is pretty good.
That's not bad.
Dougie Doug in the 7th. And then how did Ralph get Martavis Bryant? Oh, it says acquired from me. Yeah.
Yep, you gave it to him.
And then Justin Borge with Tom Brady in the 6th. That's actually a really good pick, especially with our flex spot now. And Crowder, who I really like this year, also at a decent spot in the 12th.
Yep. So I guess start at the top again. Alan only keeping one player, Kyle Rudolph. Again, I do think that is a good move, and every little bit helps. Every little bit of value you can get helps in this league. I talked about Mike Evans as Cody's keeper, a move that I liked a lot, that I probably would have done if I was him. So again, I think that's a great move. And looking at players who have been kept now and the way the draft order goes, again, I guarantee Mike Evans would have been a top 5 pick in this draft. So to have a receiver with that kind of volume at the end of the first round is good, and then backing it up with Terrell Pryor towards the end of the draft is a great move also. Ralph also starts off with 2 receivers being kept, a good move to do in this league. And you mentioned Tom Brady in the 6th for Justin. That's great value in any league, especially in a 2-quarterback league now. Or not 2-quarterback, but with potential for 2 quarterbacks. Right. And we both talked about Jamison Crowder in the 12th. I think PPR, that's a really good move there too. So all around, pretty solid keepers across the board.
Yeah. The only ones I'm a little in question with are Randall's and Allen's, but not necessarily Allen's keeper, but his decision not to try and get something for Crowell. But
yeah. Yeah, he probably could have, but I mean, he's also, he's a dad with 2 kids, a busy life, not a whole lot of time for those hard negotiations to haggle with Josh. So, but I mean, that's what it takes. If you want to be the CFoD champion, if you want to wear that belt, the kids are going to have to wait, Alan.
That was also very important in our decision as to who was going to join the league between Barron and Allen. So one of them got really lucky that my dad retired. Yeah. So now we have 2 fine additions. Again, I think Allen will be great in this league, but as far as like those negotiations and getting into your first year in the league and the first year with those trades, like I understand being a little cautious with that to get into it. Maybe it's a hard lesson that you'll have to learn here, is 2 keepers are better than 1. Yeah.
But we have seen people with no keepers compete in this league before. So
Josh, the first year of the belt, competed very well with no keepers, and I was always very proud of him for that.
Indeed. Josh was actually a championship favorite that year. He fell a little short of that, but for a minute there, it looked like he had a really good shot at doing that.
Was it me or my dad who beat him in the semifinals? I think it was one of us, but oh well.
I don't remember. It was years ago.
Yeah.
I only remember 2013.
Well, anyways, it sounds like they're calling you to board the plane. You're really important.
Yep, I'm off to the next training camp here in just a moment.
Where are you going next?
Carolina.
Oh, here?
Yep.
Nice.
South Carolina. But I'm probably going to go up there and pay off some Panthers to just throw week 1, if nothing else. That's really my goal.
I hope Cam throws week 1.
Going to bribe. What's that?
I hope Cam throws week 1.
He'll probably throw a pass or 2.
Okay.
To the defense.
So pick up the Niners defense. Got it.
Week 1, definitely.
All right. Well, so everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed this quick keeper episode. Mainly we're doing it just to stay in the rhythm of things. We like doing an episode a week. Here we are. So
and also just recap that information, and this is our last episode before the draft, Danny. We'll all have full rosters the next time we speak.
Ooh, that's exciting. Ah, man. So, actually, that's a good reminder. Everybody, if you're watching this, please try to be to the draft early. We're asking 2:30 because we want the draft to start no later than 3. Granted, if everyone's there at 2:30, we'll start at 2:30. We've got somebody who has somewhere to be at 5, so we want to try and get him out of there at 4:30.
Yeah, but I know you do want to get some stuff for the show. You wanted to do that last year, and we didn't get a chance to, so I'd really like you to be able to do that this year.
Yeah, but if people show up early, like 2 o'clock, who
Yeah.
doesn't want to hang out with us for an hour?
I mean, we're awesome.
Yeah.
We hang out with us all the time, so.
Yeah, well, not this week. You decided to go and fly to Atlanta.
Well, that's what you get for doing a show with Ralph. I had to teach you a lesson.
Okay, that's fair. All right, well, anyways, my name is Danny McCormick from the CFoD show. I'm live here in Reno, and over here is Tommy, live from Atlanta, doing our famous call-off. Tommy, get us started.
Ladies and gentlemen of the CFoD, go CFoD yourselves.
Go CFoD yourself. You can't really back up either. Ooh,
I'm trying.
Ooh, look at that.
It kind of works. It's not the collusion. There's a wall here. That's as far as I'm going.
I was recording that. Yay. I'm going to go and make her some hamburger helper.
Oh,
Dinner of
perfect.
CFoD champions.
Good to know. I'm going to see if they have a hamburger helper restaurant here at the airport.
They probably do. It's Atlanta.
I'm sure they do. They stopped serving 3/4 of the way through the day, so 6 p.m. That's when everything closes in Atlanta.